It was 3:06 a.m. when my front door exploded off its hinges. Not metaphorically, literally. A bang like thunder, splinters flying, and four men in black tactical vests stormed into my living room yelling, HOA enforcement, like they were running some kind of discount SWAT raid. The only problem? They weren't law enforcement. They weren't even HOA security. They were thugs in knockoff uniforms. And that night, they made one fatal mistake. They picked the wrong house. My name's Jared Klein, retired Army Ranger, now full-time dad to my 12-year-old son Logan. It's just the two of us since my wife passed away 3 years ago. We live on a quiet cul-de-sac by the lake in Minnesota. Normal, peaceful. Until Cheryl Ross declared herself HOA president. She wasn't elected, she just slid into power after the old board quit. Claimed some loophole let her take over. People laughed at first until the fines started rolling in. Trash bins left out 38 minutes late, $200 fine. Mailbox the wrong shade of cream, citation. Me? She decided my old F-250 was a military vehicle and fined me nearly $4,000. I told her flat out, this is harassment, leave us alone. She just smiled. I didn't realize that smile was a declaration of war. So back to that night. Door splintered, flashlights in my face. One guy yanked the blanket off me screaming about resisting HOA inspection. Another rifled through my drawers yelling, found cash. A third shoved my son out of bed at gunpoint. They wore black nylon vests stamped with security enforcement. No badges, no names, no authority. My son stood barefoot in the hallway, shaking, eyes wide with fear. And that's when it happened. Months earlier, I'd started teaching him basic gun safety. Unload, clear, respect. He knew never to touch one unless it was life or death. I prayed he'd never need that lesson. But that night, he did. While the intruder turned his back, Logan slipped into his room, opened the biometric lockbox we kept on a high shelf, and pulled out a .22 Ruger pistol. Small caliber, but enough to speak. A single pop cracked through the hall. The man screamed, collapsing to the floor, clutching his thigh. Blood soaked his cargo pants. Then Logan stepped out, pale as a ghost, both hands steady on the gun, and said in a calm voice that froze the room, "Drop your weapons, or I'll shoot again." The house went silent. The men hesitated, then bolted. Tires screeched as they peeled off in a black SUV with no plates. Only one remained, the one bleeding on my floor. I rushed to Logan, took the pistol, and pulled him close. He was trembling, arms rigid, eyes unblinking. "You did the right thing. You're safe. I've got you," I whispered. 6 minutes later, real police stormed in, with real badges. They cuffed the bleeding man, called an ambulance, and studied the fake vest and phony HOA warrant he'd dropped. One officer actually laughed and said, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. They made their own warrant." Turns out, Cheryl Ross, self-declared HOA queen, had created a fake neighborhood security task force, filed bogus nonprofit paperwork, printed fake warrants, and recruited her boyfriend, Doug, a convicted felon on parole, along with 3 friends. Doug was the man bleeding on my carpet. Cheryl swore it was a misunderstanding, claiming she thought they were compliance officers, but the evidence was clear. Conspiracy to commit home invasion, impersonating law enforcement, reckless endangerment. She was arrested. The men faced felony charges. Doug, back to prison. As for Logan, the DA cleared him by morning, the clearest case of juvenile self-defense we've ever seen. No charges, no probation. Just a boy who'd been forced to grow up too fast in a single night. Weeks later, he still checked the locks every night, still drew pictures of our house, now with tall fences and searchlights. But in every drawing, we were inside, smiling, safe. Do I regret teaching him how to use that gun? No, because that night wasn't just about property. They broke into our home, into our sense of safety. Logan didn't want to be a hero. He just wanted to protect his dad. And he did. So I'll ask you this. What would you do if strangers in fake uniforms kicked in your door at 3 a.m.? Would you freeze? Would you fight? Or would your child know what to do? Tell me in the comments. And if you've ever faced a power-drunk HOA nightmare, share your story. People need to know they're not alone.